Hey guys, I'm Randy Unger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film and today some TV as well. And with me tonight, we have a great recurring guest, Mr. Matt Roran. Matt, welcome back, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Forrest Bennett, welcome back.
Good to be back.
Yes, definitely. You guys are you are the some of the core members of Under the Radar. And this show really wouldn't be the same without you guys. So thank you for making the time over and over again. And we have a very Marvel-centric episode tonight. Usually the shows, basically the films and TV shows don't really connect with one another. But I guess the stars are aligned tonight because both of the film and the TV show, the miniseries that we're going to discuss, are both under the Marvel banner. They're part of the MCU. So we've got Spiderman, No Way Home, and Hawkeye Season One on Disney Plus. But before we get into the fun stuff, well, it's all fun, really. What are you guys watching this week? What are the weekly watches? Forrest, what are you watching?
Well, I've been on a big Karate Kid / Cobra Kai kick, which
Nice.
we're gonna get more into next week.
Yes.
But just to prepare for Cobra Kai, this new season of Cobra Kai, I went back and watched basically the same thing I did last year. I watched all 3 Karate Kid movies, and then every single episode of Cobra Kai leading up to the new one, and then the newest season.
Cool. That's a lot of
and then also
viewing hours, my friend.
I know.
That's cool. I envy that time management skills. Those are great.
Yeah, it's good to see how much that whole franchise, that whole saga has evolved.
Nice.
Over the last 37 years.
Yeah.
Although I did leave out Next Karate Kid and the remake with Jackie Chan and Jaden Smith, because they don't really, they pretty much they're kind of like diverged from the main story.
Yeah. The Hilary Swank film, not great. The Jaden Smith film, also not great. But they do.
Well, actually, I've never watched the Jaden Smith movie, but I've heard good things. But it's a completely different continuity than.
It's not canon.
Exactly. It's not canon. Although I would say with the next Karate Kid, I wouldn't mind if Michael Ironside popped up in Cobra Kai. I'd be down with that.
Amazing. Yes, I would love to see that too. But why don't we we'll table that conversation for next week. I know we have a lot to discuss, but I'm also in the middle of season 4 myself. Actually, the first episode.
I finished on Sunday night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And for me, as always, Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's like white noise for me. I need it in the background. I love it. It never gets old. I'm just like cycling through all the seasons. They all kind of blend into each other. It's amazing.
Yeah. They're 10 episodes a season. It's like a binge of that show goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Like
I used to binge it in my early mid-20s, like when I was in college. It's like Larry David is a part of me. His humor is in my DNA, and it'll never get old.
I still need to watch the Super Dave Osborne documentary came out.
Same.
Gotta watch that.
Yeah. Maybe we can review that in the future. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah. Matt, what are you watching this week?
This week, I continuing my T Hanksgiving.
Yes.
Watching the works of Tom Hanks. I just did a block of early 90s Tom Hanks. Revisited Sleepless in Seattle, which I hadn't watched since I was younger. I definitely liked it a lot more now than I did when it came out.
Right.
I rewatched. So I watched that. I watched Apollo 13, Forrest Gump.
It's one of my favorites. Apollo 13 is probably top 3 or top 5 favorite performances. That movie is great.
It's a great one.
It's so. I obviously I wasn't around during the early 70s, but I'm sure I've heard that it's very historically accurate.
Yeah.
like down to the every detail. And you can feel it, like especially the scene where they're all suiting up, before they go before the launch. And they put the helmet on and they click that click.
It's so funny because I watched that scene and I just all that goes through my mind is they have these guys professionally putting them into these suits, locking them in, and then I'm like, but when they go back, who's gonna lock them in?
I mean,
on the return.
I mean, they could lock each other in, but then
I know, but you can't. You can't so securely.
I never. That's
also
good.
Philadelphia, I watched, which is
excellent movie.
Absolutely one of my favorites. I mean, classic. I cry like a baby every single time.
Yeah.
But, the performances in that film are just like. So I mean,
that's one of the most depressing movies ever put on film.
Yeah,
I think
it's so good though. So I did those and also watched the short-lived League of Their Own TV series,
which I never knew existed until you posted it.
I remember watching it when it came out. And
is it awful? It looks pretty terrible.
It's okay. I mean, it's produced by your boys Babalu and
oh really? Oh great.
Yeah,
they wrote the film.
And I believe they wrote the first episode, which is directed by Penny Marshall.
Okay, so it's like a nice extension.
Then the third episode is directed by Tom Hanks.
Interesting.
Oh, interesting.
But it's like, it's interesting because it's like the only people that return to the cast is Marla Hooch and Betty Spaghetti, who's also in Apollo 13, and John Lovitz and Gary Marshall.
Yes.
Return.
Speaking of John Lovitz, I was just kind of bored at work today, and I was looking at cameos. Did you know that John Lovitz does cameos on that?
I did.
That personalized greeting app.
Actually, funny. Actually, on that note, earlier today. I had the wedding singer on as background noise while I was working.
Oh, nice.
Perfect.
John cameos.
Ladies' night. Oh, what a night!
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, I love everything. Everything Lovitz has done is amazing. Even Mom and Dad Save the World.
But I will say my favorite role of it. I think is my favorite and probably his most underrated role. Jay Sherman as the critic.
Oh, the critic.
Yes. Now so that good. I used to watch that religiously.
Incredible. Yeah, and then I also started because I just read Frankenstein for the first time ever.
Okay.
Actually read the book. It's been on my to-do list forever, so I finally did that. Now I'm watching all the Frankenstein movies. So I just finished the Universal.
I saw that
collection. So
actually Shudder just got Flesh for Frankenstein.
Oh, nice.
What was this Grindhouse Frankenstein? This Grindhouse Frankenstein movie produced by Andy Warhol.
Yep.
Matt, did you rewatch the De Niro Frankenstein?
Not yet. Well, so far I've just gotten through. I just finished the Universal 7 up to.
Now you gotta watch the Hammer. You gotta watch the Hammer series.
Yeah. So my next batch is gonna be like Hammer and stuff like The Bride. Classic with Sting. I'm gonna watch as many crazy.
So I was a teenage Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Or
Young
Tom Noonan in the Monster Squad.
Frankenweenie,
exactly. Gonna watch Frankenweenie.
Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein.
Of course, classic.
Monster Squad. I'm gonna watch that as well.
Yep.
Frankenstein Unbound, Roger Corman's last directorial efforts.
Yeah. So
I'll admit, Frankenstein was like one of the first horror. Because I read the book. I read the book growing up.
Yeah.
And it's also like one of the first horror movies that I really got, or horror characters that I really got into. I remember dressing up as the monster when I was for Halloween when I was 6 years old.
That's good. Yeah.
It's funny. I had seen Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein and Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein so many times, but I had never seen any of the other films. And it's like Frankenstein Meets a Wolfman is so good.
I mean, actually, I would say Universal. I would say before Marvel. Before the MC. Before it's funny that we're talking about that. We're talking about the MCU, but Universal Studios Monsters was probably the first major cinematic
franchise.
universe.
Yeah.
They really went all House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula. They like
Man.
all they really like had an and just 7 of those are like in the Frankenstein collection, and then it's like you have all the Dracula, the Wolfman, the Mummy. It's incredible. I definitely need to see more of them because I've pretty much only seen like the first of all of them. But after watching like all the Universal Frankensteins, it's like, oh, these are all like really enjoyable.
Yeah, and a lot of them are very short.
And it was a number of years.
Oh yeah, they're so short.
When Tom Cruise came out with The Mummy, didn't they try to start up a new?
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing was they were trying to like redo.
The problem is though that they try to make is that they're not every attempt that Universal has made to try and bring back their monster movies, they don't bring them back. I mean, apart from Wolfman, almost none of them are horror. They don't make them as horror movies. They try to make them action adventure movies.
Yeah.
They forget what made them what they forget what they are.
But The Mummy, Stephen Sommers' The Mummy was actually a really fun movie from what I remember. I remember seeing it 4 times in the theater in 1999. And it was 14.
Oh, the one with Brandon Fraser?
Yeah.
I mean that movie was great. I mean,
even the Mummy Returns is a lot of fun too.
Yeah, I mean they're a lot of fun, but it's like they're more along the lines of Indiana Jones than they are like a horror film, and it's weird because it feels like they like nobody only like children's movies know how to make horror like that anymore. Like you'll only see that kind of stuff animated now. Like any like adult who's like making like all right, we're gonna redo this. It's always like action adventure.
Yeah,
just like what Forrest is saying. It's like it's just so different, and I don't know, but
they don't know what they're doing. Like genre wise, it's kind of like they're mixing it all up, and it could work really well or it could fail miserably, like The Mummy.
Yeah,
and also it's so funny because the character in was it Wolfman meets Frankenstein with the arm.
Yes.
They parody in Young Frankenstein.
Yep.
And I've been a huge fan of Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein like since I was a little kid. And watching this, I'm like, oh my god! Like I thought this was just like a joke that like Mel Brooks came up with, and I'm like, he just lifted it like word for word and like movement by movement out of this movie. Like the charts and everything. I'm like, oh my god! Like
I mean, that whole movie is a love letter to that era of
era
of Frankenstein.
Nice.
Oh, so good.
Oh.
And actually, oh god, all of them because you mentioned the De Niro Branagh Frankenstein. I have not seen that movie since I was maybe 13.
Yeah, last time
I haven't seen it since it first came out. I saw it when in theaters, like 1993, I think.
94.
So I was not like 8 or 9.
I was 15, I think. That was a lot.
I was 7, and my parents were not taking me to R-rated movies back then.
No,
but I did catch it on. But it was like one of the first movies. I remember catching it on DVD years later. And I remember it was basically Columbia's attempt, Francis Ford Coppola and Columbia's attempt to do a follow-up to Bram Stoker's Frankenstein, but it didn't really work.
Yeah, they attempted. They made an attempt with Dracula and then Frankenstein, but
Dracula was actually good. Frankenstein, I understand they were trying to be more faithful to the book, but it just didn't work out. It was kind of.
I'm definitely very interested in seeing it again.
Yeah.
When I rewatch it, because it's like I love the way the character of the monster is in the book, and it's like weird that it's like it's so different in so many like versions of the films. It's all based on like the Universal Monsters version, but it's like the whole like idea that a Frankenstein's just like, hey, what's up, bro? Like, you made me ugly and people hate me, so I fucking hate you. Like, it's like, oh, okay, that's different.
Yeah, I definitely need to revisit it. It's been a few decades, but Gonna check it out. All right, guys. So enough monster talk. That was random. I love it though. Let's get into Spider-Man No Way Home. And for everybody watching and listening, this is going to be a spoiler-heavy review. So if you haven't seen the film yet, which are you under a rock? Yeah, there's going to be.
Are you under a bus that got through?
There's going to be spoilers in the next couple minutes. So here we go. So yeah, so this is actually the third film in the Tom Holland version of the character, who, after the events of the previous film, Far From Home, now everyone knows he's Peter Parker. He's outed. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Everybody knows. So Parker goes to see Dr. Strange, where basically he asks him to help him have people forget, create a spell that'll make people forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And the spell goes horribly wrong, opening up the multiverse and allowing different villains from different Spider-Man universes, or Spider-Man films in this case, come to Tom Holland's Spider-Man's universe. And the results are insane. A very epic movie. It's epic in every sense of the word. If you thought Avengers Endgame was crazy, you must check out No Way Home. I love this film. It's made my top 10 of the year. Even though it's a popcorn film and not an art film, it is actually really well acted. The visual effects are perfect. And the appearance of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire is one of the greatest reveals in any film I've seen ever, I'd say. We also have Marissa Tomei, we have Jon Favreau, Zendaya, of course. And I'm blanking on the actor who plays Ned, but he is
Jacob Batalon.
Thank you. He is hilarious as well. And that trio, him, Holland, and Zendaya, they are basically the glue that holds this Tom Holland Spider-Man universe together. And it's great seeing them work together. I mentioned Garfield and Maguire. Those are the two highlights here. Of course, Willem Dafoe comes back, as does Alfred Molina. Thank you.
As Doc Ock.
And Jamie Foxx. We also have a CGI. Yeah, thank you. And I think
Rhys Ifans.
Ifans, yeah. Can never pronounce his name correctly. But the guy who played Lizard in Amazing Spider-Man. They're all back here in Tom Holland's universe. And it is trippy, just like the previous film, actually, with Mysterio. Different realities converging, creating this wonderful feeling of anything can happen, anything can go wrong. And Holland is in the middle of it all. Is he going to get things back together? We don't know. It's exciting. I love this movie. I only saw it once. I wish I saw it more. I'm definitely going to get it on.
You still have time.
Yes.
I'm sure it'll be in theaters for a while.
Right now it's done. Right now it's January. It's dump month. So it's all you've got are our holiday leftovers, and then
and we're not getting Morbius, so
right. That's been
Morbius got pushed to April. So
right. So yeah, but Forrest, what were your first impressions of No Way Home?
Oh boy, this is so. As I mentioned, I've seen this movie twice so far. First time I saw it by myself. Second time I took my sister and nephew to see it. I would definitely have to say this might be the best. For the longest time, Spider-Man 2 was my favorite of the live action Spider-Man movies, but I think this might have surpassed it. Probably had, but yeah, it was just pretty. This is definitely not. Granted, there was Into the Spider-Verse, but as far as live action Spidey, this is nothing like this ever before.
Yeah.
It's in my top 10 for the year too. Probably, actually, I would put it second to Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Okay. That's my number one. Surprise.
Yep.
Spider-Man's my number one, but
okay.
A lot. Yeah, as you're saying, great special effects and action. The story, like the character, like all the characters and story. All of it. One thing though that did surprise me was I thought for sure that we were going to get the Sinister Six in this movie. We only got like five. We only got five. We only got five
We got the
villains.
Furious Five.
Yeah, I was hoping like we could get maybe either Mysterio back or or even
Yeah.
or since Venom Let There Be Carnage hinted that that Venom was in the was now in the MCU. They could have had him be that sixth
Oh wait,
villain.
with Mysterio, Forrest, Quentin Beck died. Are there other Mysterios?
Yes.
There are. Okay, that makes sense.
So that was, I mean, I'll admit that was a mild disappointment, but didn't stop me from just being blown away. And then when I saw it, my audience, the first time I saw it, my audience was just losing it at every single, like when Doc Ock and Green Goblin appeared, my audience cheered. When Matt Murdock,
Yep.
played by Charlie Cox,
Brilliant. Because that opens up the possibility of combining, certain Marvel properties that are on TV, bringing them into the cinematic universe.
Yes.
So
for a while now, it seems like there was kind of like an embargo, like some sort of embargo with that, where the TV shows acknowledge the movies, but the movies never acknowledge the TV shows.
Yeah. So very cool. That was the first big reveal in the film. And yeah, the audience in my theater.
Considering how
cheering when he graced the screen.
Yep.
Yes, when Toby and Andrew both showed up, like my audiences, like my whole audience, my audience was cheering it. But I'm glad. But considering how all the Netflix Marvel shows went down in flames, it's nice to see that they're still giving the actors for those shows another chance.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like, we'll of course, continue talking about D'Onofrio later. But Charlie Cox was just so good in the role.
Yeah.
That it's just like, I hate to see someone get recast when they're so good. It's like,
yeah, for sure. No, when people saw that Kane, they lost it. I loved it. And just bringing back these characters, these great actors who really define these roles. Like, I was actually almost expecting Ben Affleck as Daredevil as well, like kind of have a little Daredevil reunion or something, or like a multiverse in that respect. But I'm glad
Ben Affleck is Batman. He's like, oh shit, Flashpoint, where the fuck am I? Like,
yeah, it literally opens the door for all these characters to just come back. And yeah, it's really cool, it's very nostalgic too.
Very nostalgic, despite it's weird how nostalgic it is, despite the fact that it hasn't even been 20 years since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. It hasn't even been 20 years since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man came out.
True. Yeah, and now 2022, it'll be 20 years.
Yeah,
and that's actually
also 60 years since Spider-Man debuted in Amazing Fantasy number 15.
Perfect timing. But I think that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the first one, is one of my favorite superhero movies. It's not perfect, it's kind of clunky, but it's got a great score by Danny Elfman.
The first one is so solid. Yeah, but the second one is perfection.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
I actually went, because to prepare for this one, I went back and watched every single Spider-Man movie.
Wow.
To get ready for this one. The first movie does seem pretty cheesy and despite not even being 20 years old, it already feels kind of cheesy and dated.
But in
a good way, because I understand that Raimi was trying to capture the spirit of the early comics.
And you know what, with Raimi, I really was excited about the first one because there was like a lot of practical effects too, like the hand-to-hand combat scene between Spider-Man and Green Goblin in that like structure. At the end. It was like there was CGI, but there was a lot of practical stuff too, and a lot of wire work and camera work that really felt like Evil Dead or Army of Darkness.
Yeah. Speaking of Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe. So I have to give Dafoe props for for insisting on doing his own stunts, especially at his age.
Yeah.
Second of all, I think they
mid-60s, I think.
Yeah, mid-60s, and he's still
he looks great too. Yeah. 20 years, God, he hasn't aged a day.
and just like he was so it's like as much as I loved him in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, like
Yeah.
he went above and beyond in this movie.
Yeah.
Also,
Like,
I think they greatly.
blew me away.
Also, I do think they really improved on his cost
Yeah.
cost this
So
one.
you've got
Yeah, I love the fact that he shattered that fucking mask I hate so much.
he's got the purple and green outfit, but now it's
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
a purple.
I'd rather have him in a hoodie and sweatpants than that fucking green
Yeah.
mask.
Oh, and it's like they're like, is this guy crazy? Like, what's he doing in our dining room here?
Yeah.
That I could have just watched an entire movie of Willem Dafoe just
Oh,
like
so good.
sitting and drinking tea.
It's like I'll go watch The Lighthouse there.
Nice. I see what you did there. But yeah, I'd say, I mean, it's a tough call because Holland, Garfield, and Maguire, they're all really good actors and they're really
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man.
They had great chemistry together too.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, together, like
Yes.
like they, oh my god, and they really brought out the best in each other.
Yeah.
Like,
Each iteration of the character.
Yeah. They all have
And
their own personalities, but they're all kind of
Yeah.
similar, but they all bring something different to the table, which was amazing, which I love.
And it's great because like as much as Andrew Garfield is like he's so likable, he's
Yeah.
so he's like he's just like great in
Yeah.
you know, and watching him in the Amazing Spider-Man films,
Mm.
it's the writing is so not good that it really
would
takes
say-
away from Garfield's greatness.
Yeah.
In this movie, you're getting such pure Garfield,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh my god, like I'm in love with this guy.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, I want him to get a third movie. You know, it's like
You know, I don't see. I wouldn't be surprised if they do kind of like like an Amazing Spider-Man 3 or
you
like
know,
a spin-off of
honestly,
this.
Sony would love to keep milking as much money doing like, and I would absolutely love them to do another Garfield movie. I want to see them do a movie where Toby gets back and dies, and that's where Miles Morales comes from.
Yeah,
like I
ooh.
want to see that. Like
I love that.
you
Yeah.
know,
And I went back and I saw a video on YouTube of Easter eggs and stuff. Miles Morales, he was mentioned in Homecoming.
Yeah.
Donald Glover has a nephew. He mentions that he has a nephew,
Yeah.
Miles. So I'm assuming that's Morales. So
well,
yeah.
Donald Glover for like the longest time
Mhm.
was trying to become Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He was really pushing.
I
like,
think
before
I think
Garfield was cast.
he did also voice Miles Morales in the cartoons too.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
But he was I guess it was like around season 1 and 2 of Community,
Yeah.
which surprisingly directed by the Russo brothers, who would
Oh, yeah.
eventually be in charge of the Marvel films.
Yeah.
But and he even like he pays so much homage to Spider-Man in Community as well.
Yeah.
And he was really pushing to become Miles Morales for like a
That would've been
Spider-Man live
great.
action movie.
I would have loved to have seen him in that.
And
That'd be great.
I was so happy to see him at least get a small role in Homecoming.
Yeah.
Uh,
And in a weird way, I was kind of expecting like the animated Miles Morales to appear in this movie, kind of like a Roger Rabbit type of thing.
if anything, I'd want to see Spider-Ham. That's like
I would want to see Japanese Spider-Man with his
Oh, yeah.
partner on.
I would want.
I watched those like earlier in the year, and like
which is the
those,
one voiced by Nicolas Cage with Noir Spider-Man?
Noir,
yeah.
Yeah, love that.
But but basically, Spider-Man is the reason why the Power Rangers have Zords.
Yeah.
He was the first superhero to use a mecha.
Yep.
Nice.
And also, actually, because I remember Sci-Fi Channel way back in the 90s, Sci-Fi used to show reruns of the old live action Spider-Man series from the 70s.
Okay.
It was basically a companion piece. It was basically the sibling, the Incredible Hulk sibling show,
Yeah.
but it was never as big as successful as the Hulk.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen Nicholas Hammond, who played Spidey in that series, make an appearance too.
Right.
It's so funny because when I was watching the Incredible Hulk TV show and like reading up on it, and it was like the guy who created the show, directed, whatever, like
Johnson.
like he like hated comic books. He like and he like wanted nothing to do with comic books.
Well, apparently he changed Bruce Banner's name to David
Banner.
because he thought Bruce sounded gay.
Yeah,
Right?
and he hated the what do they call it, where it's like BB, like anything in DC where it's like Lois Lane, like Lana Lang, like
they put him in charge of. Warner Brothers put him
Peter
in charge
Parker.
of directing Steel, and look how that turned out.
Yeah, but he hated.
I did not think Steel would come up in conversation tonight, but wow.
Steel always comes up in conversation. Come on. But but yeah, he hated like just like all those like double letter names or whatever, so he changed it to David Banner. And then it's so funny because it's like he hates comic books, but then you get to the one where it has Thor in it, and you're like, all right, this is just like the most ridiculous looking Thor.
Oh, or
like,
his Daredevil, or like when he did Daredevil, the Incredible Hulk.
The trial, yep.
No. Wow. Okay. Well, back to the film, guys. So favorite Spider-Man actor. I'm torn. I love Maguire. He's a little wooden. He's a little stiff, but he's very likable. Garfield is great too. Obviously, very charismatic.
I don't think there's been unlike Batman and Superman, where there's been good Batman and bad Superman.
Right.
Actually, there's been good versions and good actors and bad actors playing those roles. Spider-Man, I don't think I've seen I've yet to see a truly bad Spider-Man actor.
All three of them are fantastic. Yeah. I would say Tom Holland's my favorite. He
feels the most true to the source material.
Because it's like he's like that young innocent like dork that made me fall in love with Spider-Man. Right. And it's like the cool thing, and I think it shines through in this movie is you're getting different ages of Spider-Man. Yeah. The three of them together. Where it's like. Which they did in Spider-Verse as well, whereas like Peter B. Parker is obviously like, the older Spider-Man. He's in his 40s, he's out of shape, him and Mary Jane got divorced. Like, it's great to see like that whole like dynamic of like, the youth pastor and the kid, and Andrew Garfield. One of my favorite lines in the movie was when they're like, oh, like I fought an alien. He's like, I'm a loser. I want to fight an alien. Like I fought a Russian guy in a rhino machine.
Right. Which I love, by the way. I love Paul Giamatti as the rhino.
I felt like he was wasted. I felt like Giamatti was a good casting choice, but he was wasted in the role.
Oh yeah, he was.
Well, yeah, because they have him like in the beginning pre-Rhino. And then as he's Rhino, they like fade to the end of the movie. It's like
basically a cameo.
Yeah.
He's kind of hidden behind this visual effects shot of this suit. Like it's all digital and it's like it kind of ruins it. But I kind of like the character itself. It was like really over the top and goofy.
And that's exactly how ridiculous like Rhino is in the comics. Where he's like, I'm going to crush you, Spider-Man. I'm angry. Like, It's just like stupid fun.
It is. And this movie is definitely fun. I wouldn't call it stupid though. This is a movie.
No, well, I'm talking about Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And like Rhino in general is stupid fun.
Gotcha.
This movie is not stupid fun. This movie is brilliant.
Yes.
Heartwarming, sad, devastating, exciting.
Yeah.
Fun.
It's got all the emotions that you can think of and feel.
And seeing it with a room full of people who were just like all dressed like Spider-Man and really excited.
Yeah, like I was in a theater full of like people wearing like pajamas and full on costumes. Whereas I just have a Venom t-shirt on. And Venom did appear in the mid credits. So
yeah.
I didn't cry though, like I did in Ghostbusters Afterlife though. I wanted that kind of moment. I guess we sort of had a sad moment with
Aunt May
and with dying. Yeah, that was kind of unexpected and sad.
Yeah, no. Also the fact that Toby and Andrew officially they've both got Uncle Ben's, whereas Tom doesn't. It's pretty. I think it's pretty apparent that Uncle Ben and Aunt May have basically been rolled into one character.
Yeah,
This continuity.
This was his origin story, so it's like, it's like, we didn't get it in Civil War when they introduced him. We got it after his sixth movie in the MCU,
which is fine to me, because I really feel like we didn't need to go. They didn't really need to go through the origin all over again.
Oh, definitely. No. I mean, it was done so perfectly in those movies, and it's just great that it's like the kind of thing that grounds Spider-Man as a character happens to him in the sixth movie we see him in, and it's just like, this is like the moment that really makes Spider-Man, and it's like, I cannot wait for what the future of Tom Holland's Spider-Man holds.
Yeah, for sure. I think the future of Spider-Man's bright. I don't know if Holland is going to participate in it.
He's signed on for 3 more.
He's
doing another trilogy.
Oh, he is. I thought he was considering it, but it wasn't official.
No, he signed on for another trilogy.
I think it was just that point where Disney and Sony were negotiations between Disney and Sony were breaking down, that he was considering leaving, but since they got it all sorted out, he's staying.
Yeah, well, the whole thing was he basically, because Sony kind of wanted to walk away from the MCU Spider-Man, and he was very against it. So that was when they were again, he was reconsidering it. But since they're and Pascal and Feige have a good relationship now, where she even on the films that aren't MCU, I think she's asking him for help. Although she did ask him for help for Amazing Spider-Man, even way back when. And he said, the only way I can help you is if you let me do the movie.
Gotcha.
And she was furious.
Oh, well, guys, I think, we're running out of time for this segment, but it's a great film. I hope everybody who hasn't seen it, go see it right away, because it's a lot of fun. It's so great. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie ever made. Best
Spider-Man movie, plus, and I would say it's definitely one of the best MCU movies too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And what are we? This is the 27th, I think. So it's just it's getting better and better. So I'm very optimistic about the MCU.
And speaking of Sam Raimi, Doctor Strange coming up.
Yes, and the Multiverse of Madness.
And it's coming out in March, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right. We'll see. All right, guys. So No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home is now out in theaters. Go check it out. I saw it in IMAX, by the way, which was amazing. So try to see it as big and as loud as possible, because this movie is just, it needs to be experienced like that. All right, guys. So we're just going to take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more TV reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger, Under the Radar, and we've got some more Marvel goodness for you guys. We've got Hawkeye Season 1 on Disney Plus, and basically follows the adventures of Clint Barton, played by Jeremy Renner, who links up with a young rich girl. She's kind of not spoiled, but she's an adventurer. She's also an archer in her own right. And her name is Kate Bishop. She's played by Haley Steinfeld. And basically these two archers slash vigilantes go on a crusade to battle the mafia, and basically they get into some webs, some tangled situation here.
To tie back to our last discussion,
right? And we're gonna have a few more spoilers.
But the spider in this film is not Spider-Man, but Black Widow.
There you go. Yes, and we've got Florence Pugh, who played Yelena, Black Widow's sister, Natalia Romanoff. Natasha, forgive me. Basically, she has been hired by Kate Bishop's mother to kill Clint Barton, and it's a crazy plot.
Yeah,
it's sort of like a mystery thriller action superhero hybrid. It's great. It's my favorite MCU TV show so far. We've had WandaVision, we've had Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, which I have not finished, by the way, and now we have Hawkeye. And so far, this is my favorite. I love the chemistry between Renner and Steinfeld. They're fantastic together. They bounce off each other. They're very funny. There's a lot of heart too. There's great action sequences. ILM is doing the visual effects. Everything looks great, and it's set in my home turf in New York City. So,
and during Christmas time, which
makes
everything better.
That's the cherry on top right there. And in that respect, it's kind of like the Die Hard dilemma. Is this a Christmas show or isn't it? But
the Iron Man 3 dilemma.
Batman Returns dilemma.
Yeah. There's a lot of Christmas dilemmas.
The Eyes Wide Shut dilemma.
Yeah. Trading Places dilemma. But yeah, I can't praise this show enough. It's fun. I wouldn't say it's great for the whole family, but I'd say teenagers can watch it. It's fun. But keep it away from the young ones if they're like fiddling around on Disney Plus and they come across this. It's a little violent. But Matt, what were your impressions here, Hawkeye?
I mean, as a lifelong fan of Clint Barton, I was just so happy to finally get something that felt like Hawkeye. Like, I mean, it's like initially when Renner got the part, and his appearance in Thor and the first Avengers, I was not feeling him at all, and I was like, oh, like. Hawkeye's like one of my all-time favorite characters.
Okay.
And like, I was like, this guy sucks. And, it's like, he's not doing the character any justice.
Yeah.
And, it was one of those things that was just the writing. And I feel like Joss Whedon worked on that a little bit, giving him more personality and giving him, some great dialogue. And after he complained about it, of course, but the character definitely like grew on me over the last Renner as an actor actually he grew on me as the years went on, and this hits like everything I love about Clint. We get to see that the person with. Because like one of my favorite things in the comics is, he starts out in the comics as a bad guy, basically gets a second chance through Captain America to become an Avenger, and eventually forms the Thunderbolts, which is a team of, it's basically like Suicide Squad, but for villains from the Marvel universe who actually want to try to be heroes. And it's just his whole the whole idea of second chances and everything, I feel like has always been a major part of his character. And I feel like this really just felt like Hawkeye.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love their chemistry. I love that the characters they brought into the show. I mean, getting Echo in there, who was the original Ronin in the comics.
Yes.
she was Ronin beforehand and then became Echo, and then Clinton took it over in the comics. But it's just great to like have that introduction. I can't wait for her show, and the connection to Kingpin. We get Vincent D'Onofrio back as Kingpin, which he was so solid.
Yeah.
I just loved everything about this show. I mean, I'm so sad that it was like the shortest of all of the shows.
I know, only 6 episodes.
I'm like, how come this one's only 6? Like,
also, each episode I read it's $25 million to make.
Oof.
Each episode.
Really?
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's honestly, like how it's by far hands down my favorite of their shows so far. And I honestly, I look so forward to all the upcoming shows. I mean, like Moon Knight is another one of my all-time favorite characters.
Okay.
We're getting Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight. I couldn't be happier because it's like favorite character, favorite actor, like
yeah.
And then like She-Hulk. I'm just so excited for what they bring into the MCU through just the shows. And it's proof that like they can really build the universe so much more with shows and movies and it's just like it's just incredible. It's mind-blowing.
What do we have, like 55 years worth of Marvel material, comic book?
That was like 70 years.
Yes, yeah, right. So
70.
we've got a long
80 years. Yeah,
80 because Captain America 1941.
Yeah, we've got
Namor and Captain America who go back to
Torch.
Wow, that's crazy. And I want to go back to Clint Barton. So great character. He's kind of like this lone warrior, very grumpy, kind of like a Batman-esque. But when he's around his family, when he calls them up on the phone and he sees them at the at Christmas, he lights up. It's like an alternate identity.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to see kind of like that duality of his personality, how it changes. And again, chemistry between him and Steinfeld.
Yeah. Well, you don't see a lot of superheroes who have you don't see a lot of superheroes who have families.
Right.
Kids.
Like I mean, I'm sure, Matt, you've read the comics more than I have. Do the villains go after his family much?
Well, in the comics, he doesn't have a family. That was a Joss Whedon device.
Okay. Really?
That was kind of a response to the fact that Renner had complained that he didn't have enough to do in the movies. So basically, Whedon created a family for him. I'm very interested to see what they do with Laura, because in the show we get the reveal that she was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Okay.
And it's unknown yet if she's Mockingbird, which was Hawkeye's partner in West Coast Avengers, whom he was married to, who turned out to be a Skrull. But like it's just very exciting to see like where that goes, because it's like clearly, because even we still don't know that much about Clint's past. Like I love that there's still so much layering. He's like an onion, and and now it's like, also the past of his wife. Wow. How like they're basically in hiding. She's a retired agent. It's like there's so much I want to know.
Forrest, what was your how did you feel going on this journey with Clint and Kate?
All right, so I'll admit this is the only Disney Plus show that I've watched from beginning to end.
Really?
I started WandaVision, but I haven't finished it yet. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, What If, I haven't started those at all yet. Okay. But no, Hawkeye I think was very very solid. I'll admit the main and actually Element, the reason why I watched this one was beginning to end. Actually, Element, Haley Steinfeld was the one that hooked me in to watch this one beginning to end, because great, fantastic actress, true grit, and Edge of 17, Bumblebee. So plus plus I have the plus Celebrity Crush. So and also I was like really, and also the fact that they brought, also seeing that they brought that as we were talking, like I was talking about earlier with Netflix Marvel actors getting second chances. I was so happy to see Vincent D'Onofrio back as the Kingpin.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, with Vincent, his performance is really great. Like I've never seen an actor like speak that way, coupled with his like physically imposing.
Yes.
You know, it's like it doesn't match, but at the same time, it matches beautifully. I don't know. It's like something
And
about that performance.
it's crazy when you think about like the early offerings from D'Onofrio that
Right.
like growing up watching D'Onofrio, and like when they first said he was playing Kingpin, I was like, all right. And then once I saw it, and like in Daredevil,
I feel like
damn.
even though Full Metal Jacket was over 30 years ago, I think just from that I could see him as I could have seen him.
Now,
as
did
Kingpin.
he work out for this, or is it padding? What's the deal here? Do we know? Like, because something looks artificial there.
Well, yeah, I mean he's
Kingpin's supposed to be huge, like
Yeah. It's very. I love it though. He looks great.
yeah,
Like,
it's
perfect.
fantastic.
Better than Michael Clark Duncan back in 2003.
or if we want to go all the way back to the trial of the Incredible Hulk, John Rhys Davis.
Oh yes.
Or
Oh,
Davies.
really? I didn't know. That's
yes,
funny.
yes.
From,
He played. Yeah, he was the first live. Yeah, John Rhys Davies was the first live action Kingpin, and he didn't even go. He wasn't even bald.
You're talking about Sala from Raiders?
Yep.
Yes.
All
He
right.
was the first Kingpin, and he
Oh.
had a full head of hair and a beard. In his portrayal of the Kingpin.
Yep.
I'm curious now. I'll check that out for sure. But my favorite series was tied with Falcon and Winter Soldier and Loki. I love both of those so much, and they're so different. So it's kind of hard to pick one over the other. But
Yeah.
I think Hawkeye like blows them out of the water, in my opinion.
I think it's definitely the most
Great
cinematic.
action.
It's the most cinematic of the bunch.
Yes. Yeah.
And like, I mean, now that you mentioned the budget, like, it's like I could see that because like it looks so good.
It feels like it should. They should. I feel like Marvel should have just said, "To hell with it," and just made it a movie and just made it a full-on movie,
right?
Instead of a six episode series.
Well, each episode is basically a movie. I mean, if you think about it. But yeah, I want to see. I really want to see a season 2 of this, or that. I think there's a spinoff with Echo coming.
And then well, I want to see more of Bishop and Yelena. I mean, that's a dream team right there.
Let's talk about that scene for a second where she's eating mac and cheese.
Oh my god!
With the hot sauce.
Yep.
That was acting. The acting in that scene was brilliant from both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they bounced off each other beautifully. I love
Black Widow. Well, even in Black Widow, I would say Florence Pugh was the best part of that movie.
Agreed.
She nailed it. She's great.
Plus, I think she has become one of my celebrity crushes. So
there
you go. She's a great actress. I think the first thing I saw her in was Midsommar.
That was mine. Yeah, Midsommar. I would say outside of Black Widow, Midsommar and Little Women.
A Little Women.
Oh yeah.
That's a great one too. Yeah, that was a great remake or adaptation.
I would say there's like multiple adaptations of Little Women.
Yeah, but that was the most recent one with Saoirse Ronan.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
That's
the Greta Gerwig one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, and also I want to see more from Swordsman. I love when they bring in ridiculous characters too, and I thought he was hysterical.
Wait, are you talking about Vera Farmiga's fiance?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he plays the character Swordsman who was an Avenger for a little bit of time.
Okay.
He's such a ridiculous character, and I just thought his performance was highly enjoyable.
And speaking of Vera Farmiga, let's not forget, because I feel like every time you put her in anything, she's gonna kill it.
Oh yeah, she was incredible, and I it's like one of those people I love in everything she does, and it's so funny because in this I'm so not used to seeing oh shit, that's what Vera Farmiga really looks like. Yeah.
It's like that's her as herself, but because
Yeah.
it's like every show or movie she's in, it's like always like made up to look like someone else, and it's like I was like, oh, we're actually like getting.
Really, I think she looks pretty much the same in everything. Even the
There's
Conjuring.
always like, I mean, they
Artist.
usually make her look older in a lot of things she's in,
Okay.
like, or like in like the Conjuring stuff where it's like they're definitely like uglying her up, even though
They're thumping.
by any means ugly.
No,
But
no, she's a very pretty woman. She
no, she
by the way,
is. She is.
She is.
But I feel
she's-
like in
yeah.
order to best play the character she is in the Conjuring movies, they
Okay.
kind of like
Aged
make
up.
her less appealing.
Gotcha.
But
she's 48 now, and I think she looks pretty good.
I think she's great. Like she looks great.
The first
Yeah.
thing I think I saw her in was The Departed, and
That was the first thing. That was the thing I remember her.
that was in 2006, and she's aged a little bit, but she's still very pretty.
Yeah, yeah. And she was just in the as Tony's mother in the Many Saints.
Oh yeah, that they totally they gave her a fake nose and crazy. So again, I can't say enough good things about this show. I love Hawkeye. Fantastic. And again, takes place in New York City, which does not hurt.
A chunk of it was, and a good chunk of it was actually filmed here.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I also love that the last episode of this show was like 2 days before Spider-Man came out.
Yeah.
And we got Kingpin and Daredevil back.
Yeah.
Like in like a matter of 3 days. I was like,
Yes.
how wonderful.
You gotta mix it
all I'm wondering is if Hawkeye, if the season finale was supposed to take place after the ending of No Way Home.
Oh.
Since they both end in Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
At Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
And then the Rogers musical can be seen in both of them.
Yes. And that extended scene, I think was that Alan Menken or Mark Shaman who was conducting the orchestra?
Oh, was that?
That show looks ridiculous, but really,
Yeah,
really
it's
funny.
absurd.
Well, okay, guys, we just have a few minutes left, but I just want to mention that Hawkeye Season One. Hopefully, we'll get more seasons. I think we will. We'll definitely get Echo and a spinoff. That is now streaming on Disney Plus. So check out Hawkeye, guys. So good. All right, so I just want to do some quick coming attractions for this week. We've got the sequel / reboot of Scream, which I don't know how I feel about this one. I was sort of excited for Halloween Kills, kind of let down by that. So that's how I feel about this Scream.
My only reservation about it is that this is the first movie in the franchise without Wes Craven directing.
Yeah, you're right.
So at the same time, I will see it because I'm a huge fan of this franchise and I'm a horror fan in general. But I guess, Craven's death I kind of feel like has put a slight damper on it for me.
Sure.
I'll still see it.
Yeah,
I'm excited to take my kids to go see it.
Really?
I took them to go see the original Scream a couple months ago. They were showing it in the theaters for the anniversary.
Yep, I was for that.
25th.
And my kids absolutely loved it. So
okay.
And they're so into horror and stuff. So
Right.
which is exciting. It's exciting to have kids who are into that.
Nice.
So
all right.
So they're all looking very forward to it. So that's probably the most excited I am about it. Overall, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool and whatever.
Right.
But I haven't really loved any of the sequels to Scream.
Really,
But
not even the second movie.
The second one is
It was
amazing.
good. It was good.
The only sequel I've not really cared for was the third one.
Third one.
The third one.
Yeah.
Fourth one I think was underrated.
The fourth one was better than I thought it would be.
No.
Actually, I would say the fourth one was the one that sold me on Emma Roberts as an actress.
Yeah,
Good.
definitely.
Good.
And also, did either of you guys see the MTV series?
Oh, I loved it.
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
Is
I wish
good?
it
Is
was
worth it?
still going.
Well,
Is
I
it-
loved the first season. The second season I thought dragged a little, but it was still good.
Is it canon to the movie?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna see the new Scream if it doesn't get delayed because of Omicron.
Five
but,
Cream, go see it. Five Cream.
yeah. We'll see what happens with that. We also have a Japanese animated adventure drama. I'm assuming it's anime. It's called Belle. And lastly, it's a very light week this week for coming attractions. We've got a drama called Italian Studies starring Vanessa Kirby, who's a great actress, by the way.
Is that Bruno Kirby's daughter?
I don't think so. But she was in the Shia LaBeouf film. I think it was called Pieces of a Woman last year.
Oh, that
Yeah.
which was like my number 3 or whatever.
Right. That was that was
That
not
was very
last
high
year,
up on
but
my list.
that was from 2020.
Yeah.
But this is her latest film.
Oh,
and
nice.
It actually they screened it at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2021. I didn't get to see it, unfortunately, but I love Vanessa Kirby. She's a great actress. I believe she was also in the new Little Women. But I'm gonna have to fact check that. But just a great actress overall. And we have just a few seconds left, guys.
Also, the 355 with Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Diane Kruger, Penelope Cruz, and Fan Bingbing.
Right. I don't know if I'm going to see that, but I do love Jessica Chastain. She's a very good actress.
I'll end up seeing it.
Ollie's Game is fantastic. All right, guys. Plugs. Matt, Mr. Pickle Island here.
Pickle Island. We got a location in Glen Cove, 18 Forest Avenue. We got a location in Bayville, 12 Ludlam Avenue. And you go check them out. We got pickles, we got movies, we got music, we got comics. What more could you want? There's some candy too. We got candy. You like candy? We got candy.
That's terrifying, Matt, but thank you.
Get in my van.
Awesome. And Mr. Bennett, any plugs for you tonight?
Well, this past year I was an associate producer on a little slasher flick called Bloody Summer Camp, starring Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan. Nice. It was a low budget slasher flick that I produced. I was associate producer on for the production company's name is Slasher 15. You can go to their website and buy and pick up a copy of the movie there. Okay. That just came out on DVD. It just came out on DVD recently. You can go to their website and Slasher 15 and pick up a copy.
No.
I'm also I'm also on a podcast. You can also hear me on a podcast called Inside Movies Galore, where we do roundtable discussions of whereas we're talking more old on here on Under the Radar. We talk about newer movies, but on Under the Radar, actually on Inside Movies Galore, we're focused more on older movies, on discussing older movies.
What's on deck for? Are you doing it next week?
I should be. I think we're discussing. I think it's either Willy Wonka or Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, I love Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Because this month we're discussing unintentionally scary movies.
Okay.
It's
Actually, I think it's The Secret of Nim. Actually, I think we're discussing. We're discussing The Secret of Nim. Yeah.
Oh, music by
one of the first movies to scare the crap out of me.
Secret of Nim.
Yeah. I mean, I love it to death. Any of the Don Bluth stuff, I'm a big fan of.
Early Don Bluth.
Yeah, that movie has got so many like creepy elements in it. It's so good.
I just know that one of my favorite composers ever, the late great Jerry Goldsmith, did a great score for that.
Yes,
and
indeed.
One of his few animated films, he did that and Mulan, and I think that was it. He had a career from like the 50s to the 2000s, and he only did 2 animated films, so it's very interesting. Yeah. But I just thought of something very scary from a very popular family film, E.T. Actually,
40th anniversary this year.
Dead E.T. laying down in like white E.T.
in the river.
Yeah, no, the scene where Elliot first encounters E.T. in the backyard in the forest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my! And he just pops out and then screams and runs away.
The scream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
hard to
yeah,
escape,
and
really.
also like the seeing like ET like dying was super disturbing. Like him
Right.
Yeah.
like and
When they're trying to
when he-
resuscitate
just
him.
like when the government comes in the
Yeah.
suits
Yeah.
and they're just like flooding the that like as a kid. I mean, I saw that at a when I was like 3 years old or whatever in a drive-in.
The scene where the
And it was
government
terrifying.
the government officials dressed up as astronauts storming
Yeah.
the house.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
John
it's-
Williams thundering, pounding score. They come
Yeah.
into it's really that'll scar you for life mentally.
Yeah.
I mean, that and Poltergeist, came out like the same year.
In summer, yeah.
yeah.
And
You're right.
it's like
Thanks,
Spielberg,
Spielberg.
you fucked me twice. Like
Damn you, Spielberg. All right, guys. Well, on that note, I want to thank you guys so much. This was great. And also some plugs on my end here. If you want to watch new episodes of Under the Radar, you can tune in on Manhattan Neighborhood Network every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern on the Lifestyle 2 channel. So check that out. Also on cable TV channels, FiOS 34, RCN, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. Also, feel free to subscribe and share the Under the Radar YouTube channel. We have plenty of content. We've got previous episodes, interviews, feature-length commentaries, a lot of fun stuff on the Under the Radar YouTube channel. So Matt, Forrest, thank you guys. This was great as always, a very Marvel-centric episode. And I'm Randy Younger. This has been Under the Radar. We'll see you next time. Take care.